So my name's Klimt Donohoe. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, cleaner, planner, brewer, everything guy for Spotty Dog Brewers. Today we're doing a collaboration with Science Made Beerable. The team came to us and wanted us to sort of push technique and showcase something. Initially we sort of thought, Spotty Dog Brewers, we're always so focused on hops. Why don't we strip away that armor we have and maybe do something completely stripped back where we don't have anything to hide behind. It's all malt and then all yeast influence. So yeah, we're brewing a unfruited Gose. So we're really looking to push the Philly sour yeast, which is a pretty unique and new product. So you're getting a yeast that's producing alcohol like a normal beer yeast would, but at the same time it's producing lactic acid. So we're looking for that sourness, that decrease in pH. What we're trying to push through the way we manage that fermentation is some peach character, some acidity, and then just super clean traditional malts. So first thing in the morning in the process, we're coming in the grain room, we're selecting all our grains for the batch, for the recipe, bringing them in here to the mill, nice and floury, powdery room, getting all the black t-shirts dirty, and basically going through this mill, crushing those grains, trying to preserve as much husk as we can to set up that grain bed for later on the process where we're mashing. And yeah, just running it all through here into bags and buckets and then carried across to the mash tun. So far this morning we've come in, we've got our grains, we've milled them, we've mashed in our mash tun. We've been infusing that hot liquid with those malted grains and wheat. And right now we've just finished draining off all those sugars. So collecting all the sugars in the mash tun, raising the temp of that water, draining off those sugars, transferring them across to our boil kettle behind me. We're now going to go into rising up to a boil. We'll see a lot of proteins coagulate out at that stage. We'll add a small amount of hops, and then from there we're going to boil for an hour or less and take that over through a heat exchanger. And once we've taken it through that heat exchanger and brought that temperature back down, we'll be into our fermenter, and that's where our yeast, our Philly sour, is going to get to work for the next few weeks. So basically throughout the day, we're taking a number of readings. We're particularly focused on pH, so bringing that pH into an acceptable range for this recipe. We'll be focused on pH a lot throughout the fermentation as well, given that this will be a sour beer with the Philly sour yeast. We've also been taking some density readings, so assessing the washing of the grains that we spoke about earlier in the mash, how well have we done there, and what available sugars are there for the yeast to then convert into carbon dioxide and alcohol, and also produce that lactic acid. And that'll give us sort of the final ABV of this Gose, which is aimed to be about somewhere between 2.8 and 3%. So right now we're mashing out, so spent grains, they've been washed of all their sugars, they're no longer of any use to us, so we've got to get them out of here. Everyone's favourite job, scraping this out, washing it out, love it. And then this malt is going to some pig farmers. So in terms of providing like a happy atmosphere for our yeast, we want to hit a very specific temperature. So big glycol tank here, controllers controlling the flow of glycol through plumbing into the jackets of the fermenters, which is then helping bring that yeast temperature down. So the yeast is producing heat as it ferments, and we want to hit it at a very specific temp. So we're tempering that down to maybe 23, 24 degrees for this particular yeast strain, and just trying to maintain that happy environment so they can produce those flavors we're looking for and not the flavors we don't want. Once we've finished that boil and we've chilled that liquid down, it's going to be living in here for a few weeks. We're going to give that yeast a healthy environment like we talked about, and that very simple, clean malt bill is really going to allow us to show off what Philly sour yeast can do, which is not only take those sugars and turn them into alcohol and CO2, but also it's going to drop the pH, it's going to provide some lactic acid, and we're going to get a really tart, beautiful, clean, crisp beer, completely unfruited Gose. So the addition of Tasmanian sea salt will happen quite late in the piece, and what you should have, if we get the fermentation right, is a really beautiful, clean, malty beverage that has a little touch of sea salt and hopefully some fruit character that comes through from that yeast. So maybe some peach, maybe some other stone fruit, and yeah, we'll just have to wait and see till canning day.